Okay. All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Coffee with Nick. And I'm not going to take a lot of your time today. It's important. It's our most valuable resource that we have is our time. We're not going to take a lot of that today, but we're going to have a quick cup of coffee. And we're going to talk about something that's pretty important. Also, this is really good. It's got a lot of protein in it. We're not going to talk about how much sugar and carbs it has, but man, they're good. So if you can pick them up at Sam's, it's like a case of 12. I'm also not going to talk about how much they cost, but they're pretty tasty. Okay, so we're going to talk about something that's pretty important today. It's our mind, okay? And is in the words of the great warrior poet White Goodman, it's good and important to get a good mental sweat as well as a physical sweat, okay? So that's what we're going to talk about today. And if you wanted to get a physical sweat, if you wanted to get your harden your muscles and get them ready to go for a long race or a fight or some competitive sport, what you would have to do is obviously you'd have to eat right and you'd have to start exercise, right? And you have to be consistent about that every single day. If you wanted to go out and run a marathon, right, you couldn't just be like, I'm going to start paying attention to that in a couple months, right? You're going to have to, every single day, you're going to have to be doing something that's going to get you better, especially if you're just getting off that couch and you got a couple ways down the road, right? So you're going to get up, you're going to pay attention to that diet. You have to work out every single day to strengthen those muscles, get those lungs and respiratory and all that stuff ready to go to where that you're able to sustain that marathon pace, right? And especially if you're trying to do really well. If you want to do really well at it, then you're really going to have to make sure that you dial it down and you stay consistent and you strengthen those muscles and harden your body. Well, the same is said of your mind. Okay, so what do we have to do to get our mind better, right? And as realtors, what's really cool about our job is that the only barrier, the only thing that can hold us back in our personal businesses is us. It's our mind. It's really easy to say that, oh my gosh, it's COVID or it's the government mandates or people don't work and it's hard to get new builds going. There's tons of really great excuses out there of why we can't get things going, so we can just go sit on the couch and watch Netflix, right? Why we shouldn't go out and actually work. They're all crap though, right? At the end of the day. So what it really comes down to is if we get our mind going, I don't care what's going on, we can be successful in our career, which is so cool, right? Like we're the only thing that either makes us do well or makes us do bad. Right? That's really what it comes down to in real estate is that mind, okay? So for those of you who know us here at Central and Haggard and everyone else, we're big fans of Brian Buffini. I am especially a big fan of Brian Buffini, and I love to listen to his podcasts. If you haven't listened to Brian Buffini's podcast, it's awesome. I mean, it's just him sitting there giving you great things. You can go out and work on your personal business. But if you do listen to his podcast, you probably heard the one where he had Earl Nightingale. Earl Nightingale was one of the greatest minds, motivational speakers, and he was of old, times of yore. But Brian Buffini from time to time will have him on, or I'll have recordings of him on. He's no longer with us. But he'll have his recordings on, and it's amazing. First off, it sounds really cool. The guy's voice is amazing. You'll understand why he's so great in radio if you do listen to those. But the nuggets that he gives us from back in the past goes so well today. I mean, and as Brian Buffini says on all that kind of stuff, it's the principle, right? So the principle never gets old. Principle never gets, it's not good anymore. There might be different styles, there might be different things like that, but the principle of what he's always teaching and what Earl Nightingale was teaching in the past is still pretty relevant today. And anyways, you might have heard of one he called it the miracle of the mind, which I thought was pretty cool. And I'm not going to bother you guys with a whole lot of time on this, but it is a way to get goals. And I know I covered goals and how to write down goals, things like that. We're not really going to talk about goals today, but we're going to talk about a technique. It's not the only technique, but it's a technique to get better at achieving a goal, right? And how to really strengthen your mind. And this is not my idea. This is Earl Nightingale. So what he says, right? So he says, take an hour every single day, right? Take an hour every single day. When you have an hour, so the best thing is when it's just you, right? So if you're like me and you have 4 children and 2 dogs and all the rest of this kind of stuff, it's not probably good to do right after dinner or during breakfast or something along those lines. You have to do it. For me, it would have to be before everybody's awake, get a nice fresh cup of coffee, sit down, and once you use yourself a completely blank piece of paper and you write down your goals, right? Now for us, obviously it's going to be, well, it could be anything you want, but I mean, at the end of the day, we're talking about our profession, right? So let's say I want to do X $1 million closed this year, whatever the case is. So I'm going to take my hour in the morning. I'm going to write down my blank sheet of paper, and I'm going to write down 20 ideas in that hour, okay, that is going to help me in my job. Whatever comes to your mind, like whatever it is, like, hey, I need to, whatever it is, make my phone calls, make this, that, boom, 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 and write down those ideas. Now, what's important to know is it's going to be hard, right? It's never easy to sit down and just come up with ideas, mostly because we don't do that all the time, right? So it's going to be hard, especially when you start. But once you really start getting that going, it's going to get better every single time you do that. Another thing to really remember, especially if you're like me, and Brian and Andrew can tell you that most of your ideas, at least most of my ideas, suck, right? Like most of my ideas are horrible ideas. They sound cool until you start thinking, but really, if we did that, we'd be broke in 20 minutes. But that's okay. Most of your ideas might suck. But you're going to have a couple ideas that are really going to be worthwhile, right? That are going to be at least worth trying out in your personal business. And another thing, like I said, is once you start doing that every single hour, let's say you do that 5 days a week, right? That's 5 hours, or that's 20 ideas a day, which is 100 ideas in a week, right? So it's 100 ideas every single week. And that's if you don't even think on the weekends, right? So that's pretty awesome. And another cool thing about doing that in the mornings is that's going to really deeply embed your goal and the ideas and get your mind thinking about what you need to get done, which is, in our case, our personal business, right? So there's really no downside to that. So throughout the day, we've already got it going. We've already got the juices flowing. We're ready to go. We got that mental sweat going for old White Goodman, and we're ready to rock, right? And now throughout the day, you're going to start having ideas pop in your head. And as that happens, stop. Sit down, write it down, and maybe that's the one, because you only need one amazing idea to revolutionize our personal business, your personal business, right? So get that going, and that's something that you can really start doing. But like I said, it's going to deeply embed that goal in your head, so you're constantly thinking about it. It's always in the back of your mind. You're going to do it again tomorrow. You can do it again tomorrow. You're going to do it again tomorrow. And I mean, that's one of those really cool things that it's not really taking a whole lot of. It doesn't take a lot. I mean, I realize an hour out of your day, that might be a lot. And who knows? I mean, if you only did half an hour, that's still better than nothing. But try and do what Earl Nightingale says, right? And his challenge is do it for 1 month. Take a month and do that. 5 days out of the week, 1 hour out of the day, and just sit there and write down those ideas. And that's pretty huge. I mean, that's one of those things. And remember, we are what we think about, right? So if we're constantly thinking about our business and ways to get better in our business, because there's no downside to that. And especially in today's world, right? Like if we're constantly thinking how to get better in our business when most people are just pissed at each other, I'm not gonna say one side or the other, but man, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the country split down the center, right? And everybody on this side and everybody on this side is pissed. And they're all pissed and they're all self-righteous. I don't know if one side's wrong. I don't know if both sides are right, wrong, whatever the case is, but people are pissed off and that's all they talk about. I don't know if you've been to a party lately or if you talk to your friends or whatever the case is. I know it is with me, and you just start bitching about what's going on right now. Imagine, instead of doing that or turning on the news, because guess what? That's all there is on the news. And we are what we think about, right? I don't know if you guys have noticed, but people are pissed off all the time. If somebody cuts somebody off in traffic or kind of passes somebody around, they're ready to kill each other. If you guys have been to a kids game, right? Been to soccer, hockey, volleyball, I don't know about you, but every single time it ends, sometimes with me, so it ends with people ready to kill each other. Parents are so pissed off, they can't take anything seriously. I mean, everything's just so angry. They're so serious about everything, and they're not just there enjoying the game. They're just pissed. And chances are they're pissed about something else, and now they're angry about this. And why is that? Because you are what you think about. And if all the time we're sitting there paying attention to people who are pissed off and talking about how the world sucks and how your life is horrible and you're this, that, and the other, maybe don't pay attention to that. Don't think about that as much. Think about something else, because we are what we think about. So imagine thinking about ways to get yourself better, ways to be better in your business, ways that would have an impact on somebody else. I mean, so that's one of those kind of things. And then now you start looking at that, and then you think if other people in our business are constantly doing that, watching Netflix, pissed off, whatever, on Instagram, and arguing all the time on Facebook, which, by the way, I mean, what's the point in arguing on Facebook? Have you ever seen somebody be like, oh man, that's a really good point, I guess I won't do that? Don't. Just stop it. Don't read the comments. There's no reason to read comments. When you see some crazy, ridiculous headline on a post on Instagram or Facebook, it's really, let me let you in on a secret here. That's so you'll click on it, right? It usually doesn't even have anything to do with the actual article. It just made you click on it so they get paid. Just like the news. They get paid the same way the Big Bang Theory gets paid to piss you off so they can get some ratings. That's why I watch it. That's why everybody else watches it. Click on it. It's all crap, right? And they're creating the issues. Now, that's just my opinion, of course. But the point is stay away from that shit totally, right? Maybe don't pay attention to that all the time. Pay attention to something else. Maybe read some books. Maybe listen to stuff from Earl Nightingale, Brian Buffini, things like that. That's actually going to help you out. It's going to get you in the right mindset. Because if you're doing that and everybody else is pissed off and ready to fight somebody in the side of the soccer field, as some kids, which, by the way, I don't think I do your kids any favors. But if they're doing that and you're over here working on your business and thinking about good stuff, bringing the good stuff in, because we are what we think about. We think about stuff that makes us good people. I think you can do a lot better than your competitors. I mean, I don't think that takes a genius to figure that out. Right? So if we start paying attention to that stuff, another thing I had heard that I thought was pretty cool is you can decipher who a man is. You can know a lot about a man at what makes them angry. And I actually just heard that this morning, and it really kind of hit me because I got really angry the other day in traffic. Now, Brian Birds will tell you that I've been known to get angry on road rage. I've been accused of road rage before. Now, first off, let me know, look, I didn't start the situation, but I will say that I got really angry, and I did maybe stoop down to the other guy's level, which later on I felt stupid about. But you think about that is, why would I let someone cutting me off and swerving around and flipping me off, why would I let that bother me? Why would I let that have any effect on my day? And I got so angry about it that it ruined my day. It ruined 2 of my days. In fact, I'm still mad about it. But let's think about that. Who cares, right? Like, just wave. Okay, man, sorry, didn't mean to try and pass you, whatever the case is, because who cares if some guy flips me off on the road? I mean, does that really mean anything? Does that really take away my honor if I don't go over there and flip him off back and drive as fast as humanly possible on top of the gap so I can make sure that he sees me flip him off too? I guess I won, right? Is that the idea? No, it's stupid, right? Not only that, what happens if the guy pulls out a gun? Or what happens if I put somebody else in danger because I'm driving so fast? It's just dumb. Let it go. And that's one of those kind of things. And that really kind of hit me. And so hopefully, I'm saying this now, but let's see if this lasts tomorrow. But hopefully the next time somebody like that does that, I remember, a lot about a man at what makes them angry, right? I mean, there's a lot more things in the world that could probably be a little more righteous anger than somebody flipping me off in traffic, because who knows about that guy, right? I thought about this. I passed the guy going slow, and swerved into me, right? Went crazy. Now, I probably could have just pulled off and let him go. Instead, I reacted the same way he did. But I thought about it. What was going on there? Right? Why would a guy do that? That's crazy. Well, who knows, right? Maybe the guy just got a divorce. Maybe the guy got some horrible news. Maybe he's just having a horrible day, and then I just happen to be crossing his path, and then everything just snapped. Chances are that's what it is. And then it escalates and escalates and escalates and escalates. And how many times do people's lives go horribly wrong because of the worst time possible, and the other person just can't understand, hey, maybe this guy's going through a really crappy time. And I am guilty of that. Like I said last week, I 100% did not ask myself, maybe this guy's having a bad day. I definitely made his day worse. I'm not proud of it. In fact, I'm a little upset about it. So hopefully you can learn with me and think about that and maybe let things like that go, because think about it. What makes you angry. You can learn a lot about that. If it's something small and kind of foolish, maybe just let it go. If you're at a kid's baseball game, soccer game, volleyball game, and somebody says something stupid, let it go. Now, if somebody's doing something, messing around with kids, whatever the case, obviously you're gonna address that if they're being really mean, whatever the case is. But at the end of the day, don't overreact, right? You never know what somebody else is going through. Moral of the story is, though, we're getting that mental sweat. I know I digress on that, but that was near and dear to my heart, and I felt the need to point that out. Anyways, so what are we going to do? Let's recap on what we're talking about. Nice, easy way to make sure that we can get down for our personal business. We're going to take that blank sheet of paper. We're going to get out 1 hour a day. Let's try for 1 month. Just 1 month. Let's see what happens. 1 hour a day, 5 days a week, 20 ideas a day. All right, that equals out to 100 ideas a week. You don't have to do it on the weekends, right? See what happens, all right? Remember, we're gonna get that in our head from the beginning to the end. How can we make our business better? And guys, I necessarily see a downside to that. And even if you just do it for 10 minutes, at least do that. But I'd love to see an hour. So let's give that a shot. Let's get that mental sweat going, and let's see what we can do. But so at the end of the day, guys, I'm not gonna take too much of your time, but I am borderline endorsing these. I love them. Could be an issue with my love handles, though, but they are great. Probably should just go back to regular black coffee, but I don't know. Yeah, no, breathtaking. It's great. There's no downside. Okay, Brian Buffini podcast. Check it out, guys. It's free. All right, get on there, check it out, and really, especially for realtors, it pertains to us, so it's pretty awesome. So I can't stress that enough. Check out the Brian Buffini podcast. And so there you go. That's Coffee with Nick, and just under 15 minutes, which is my goal. So boom. Right? There we go. That was my goal. Wrote it down. Didn't write out an hour of 20 ideas for that. It just happened. So I don't know what to tell you. But okay, so that's it for me. And we're good on Coffee with Nick.